Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast. We have Matheus with us today. He's a senior cloud operations solution architect at AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. So he has immense knowledge in cloud computing. So in this podcast, we're going to focus on what is cloud computing, what is the use of it, and what all certifications we can do to learn cloud computing. So let's not waste time and dive into the podcast. Hey Matheus, thanks for joining the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Matheus Arrais. I'm a senior worldwide, specialty SA, focused on cloud ops, cloud governance more specifically. I've been here on AWS for over 5 years. I started in Brazil, and then 3 years ago, I moved to US. I'm based out of Dallas, Texas.
Thank you for your brief introduction to our viewers, Matheus. Coming to our first question of this podcast, what is cloud computing?
You're gonna see a lot of definition of what is cloud computing out there, right? I like to put my own definition, right? So cloud computing, it is a on-demand delivery of IT research over the internet using pay-as-you-go pricing model. So I usually use a reference of your electrical bill, right? Everyone needs to pay your electrical bill, know how to work an electrical bill. So it's the same thing. Every time that you turn on that switch, you're using it, you're going to pay for it. You're going to be charged for it. So AWS cloud computing, it works in the same way. You're going to provision your IT resource, compute, storage, database, networking, and you're going to be, charged a small fee or a percentage. It varies all based off the usage of that particular resource. So that's how it works. So instead of buying, owning, maintaining a physical data center, a physical server, you can access that technology through the internet using cloud computing.
So basically, cloud computing is like providing services like database, storage, networking, software, all through internet. Since we have many industries
Exactly.
since we are many industries which are working on cloud computing, like software industries, business, healthcare providers, financial services. But in this podcast, Matheus, we're going to concentrate more on how can cloud computing will be useful for software engineers, developers, and IT professionals. So can you briefly tell the use of cloud computing for them?
Yeah, of course. So I would say the most important aspect for software engineers, it is the agility that you're going to have by using cloud computing, because the cloud gives you an easy way access to a broad of range technology that if you think in a data center in an old-fashioned way, you need to wait that the service being arrive. You need, first of all, you need to, there's whole bureaucracy regarding purchase, and you need that service to be arrived, and then you need to configure that service operation system, patching, so on and so forth. For a software engineer perspective, I can easily, with a couple click of a button, or use infrastructure as a code, or use an API, I have access to that technology easily. So it is simple, like a click of a button. I can build my Internet of Things application. I can build a whole LLM model using data lakes, storage information. Very easy. I would say that this is the first one. Second of all is elasticity. With cloud computing, everything can expand and shrink, right? So you don't have to, first of all, over provisioning. So you're not gonna buy a data center thinking 5 years ahead. No, you're gonna use it, and of course, like I mentioned, you're gonna pay for that use. And if you use less, you're gonna pay less. If you use more, you're gonna pay more. So you have that elasticity that you can have. And second of all, and third, actually, it is with cloud computing, since all the regions are spread out the world, you can be in the United States developing the software to India and vice versa, or deploying service in Italy and vice versa. So you can go global in a few minutes. because just can. Because cloud computing, it's out there, have many regions. Um, AWS, for instance, has more than 30 regions as of today. So you can deploy your server, your application across the globe, and everybody in the world can use your own software.
So you have mentioned that cloud computing, especially for developers, can be more beneficial. Like they can buy storage, they can buy databases, and all. And also, instead of purchasing it for like 5-6 years, they can pay as they go, right? And one more thing, you mentioned that
Exactly.
we can maintain global servers using cloud computing.
Exactly like that. So if you wanted to use something that is ready to use for machine learning, that's no way to wait for it or to have some system engineers to configure that particular server. Everything is already out of the box to you. And if you wanted to build yourself, you also can. So that is level of independence that you can have by using certain service on the cloud. They're gonna give you more or less granularity, depend the level of development that you wanted to proceed.
So let's take a scenario, like think me as a web developer who is thinking to learn, who is thinking to use cloud computing. How can cloud computing will be useful for me?
Okay, so I would say first of all, uh, taking an example in AWS, that is free tier servers that you can use that will be free of charge for 12 months, and some of those servers will be freer for always going to be free. So you can that is a low hanging fruit that you can have to develop your own software, to even training, even for a POC, even for academic purpose, that you can use to just experiment the cloud and how that works. So again, back to the use case that you're not gonna pay for anything. You can learn cloud computing and spin up your first virtual machine. I would say less than an hour. You're gonna be an expert how to do that, because it's quite straightforward. So that's the first aspect. You have 12 months free tier. You have always free tier servers that you can use. So if you wanted to understand how to develop architectures that are using REST APIs, using serverless architecture or serverless compute choice, you are free to do so. Very easy to do. You just go and start to build. Or if you wanted to use your VS Code in your own machine and wanted to understand how that will be hosted on AWS, you can develop everything in your local machine and just use, for instance, repo, Git methodology that will we push that code to an EC2, which is the compute power of it, and that will be your web application. So things like that are very easy, and like I said, you have 12 months. Some of those that are very those are very important service on AWS, particular to use for free. So I would start with that.
Thank you, Matheus. That clearly answers my question. What is cloud computing, and what are the use of cloud computing for software developers and IT professionals? AWS stands like a lead in cloud solutions providers. So as you're working at AWS, could you briefly explain what is AWS?
Of course. So AWS, it is Amazon Web Service. It's Amazon brand for cloud computing. Everything starts way back in 2000, early 2000s, 2006 more precisely, and Amazon already have a bunch of knowledge acquired for many years maintaining data centers. Because of Amazon.com, that everything started back in 95. So with an idea to, instead of recycling or even discarding the data center, they already have the knowledge how to maintain at scale data centers globally. So Amazon started with that idea to operate at scale data centers, and then we developed our first product back in 2006. So that was um, more than 20 years ago. Uh,
Okay.
Amazon in a web service, AWS, as of today has more than 200 service available for many categories that you can choose: IoT, storage, database, compute, so on and so forth. And you're gonna pay as you go. Like I said, the pricing model, it is a clouding pricing model. You pay as you go. You have options also to use different type of pricing if you wish to have better discounts. Um, and we are customer obsessed. Amazon, it is well known to have the leadership principles. One of them, it is customer obsessed. So AWS since 2006, which was the origin of AWS itself, we reduced the price more than 60 times. So more than 6 times, we are actually looking for mechanisms to reduce the price for our customers because, well, we're customer obsessed. We wanted to get the best experience to our customers, for our customers, and providing the best quality of a web service. And that speaks, the number speaks for themselves, the market share speaks for themselves.
How AWS will be more specifically helpful for software developers, software engineers, and IT professionals?
Yeah. So AWS has a broad pool of service for developers. Most recently, that is being well disclosed and everybody is talking about nowadays is generative AI, right? So Amazon has a code companion called Amazon Q that helps you to understand how to improve your software, looking for security risks, looking for using the generative AI algorithms to give you tips and also snippet of code to based on the description that you're gonna give to the service itself. So it helps with you to improve your own code because of course it's trained to use Amazon APIs. So if you wanted to deploy something with to actually AWS, it's already well trained, but also can go even more than that. That's first. So Amazon Q can help with as a code companion improve your code ability, get faster results with your code implementations. The second of all, it is the broad of service, right? There is many service that we support as of today. We call them code suite. That is code commit, code build, code developer. That is code pipeline. All the CI/CD pipeline that you're familiar with. That GitOps methodology, from pushing the code to build that code and to deploy and deliver that code. We offer service for each one of that in the pipeline. So you can also use that for a developer perspective. If you were, for instance, a mobile developer, we AWS also have AWS, for instance, device farm, which is exactly it is on the name, is a farm of devices that you can test your code to mobile applications for Samsung, for Apple, for that. We actually have a broad of cell phone mobile that you can test it out just to make sure that you are running in the correct way. And of course, you don't need to buy the device. It is, again, pay as you go, and you can have that easily on using the cloud computing.
Is it cost efficient for a student or someone who is trying to build a project and use AWS for them?
100%. The cost savings of AWS cloud, it is basically trading all the fixed expanding that you usually see in a data center as a physical service for variable expenses. You're only paying for the IT resource as you consume. Plus, these variable expenses are much lower than what you're going to pay yourself because the economy of scaling. So how big you're gonna go, how you're gonna pay less. So you also have discounts based on the level of usage. Second of all, like I mentioned before, we offer free tier for 12 months and also for always some service will always be free. So this is very compelling for perhaps beginners, juniors, developers that are still are trying to improve that portfolio. You can have that because that we offer in a brand new account. You're gonna see a lot of free tier for 12 months and also service that can be always free, including, for instance, I mentioned a few minutes ago, Amazon C2. So you have, when you create an AWS account, you have 750 hours for 12 months for free, which means that you can use EC2 to host your web applications that will be, for testing, POC, academic purpose, from your code to your code. You can also have, for instance, Amazon S3, which is one of our most famous service, object storage service, 5 gigabytes for 12 months. So things like that, it can be very useful. For instance, if you're trying to understand or learn more how a data lake or data analytics works. So those are two examples that are easily to use for a beginner. And of course, when you go upon it, especially when you go enterprise level, this is also very easy to have more discounts because you're gonna, like I said, when you go at scale, you're gonna have better discounts on the usage.
So AWS provides like more than 12 months of free membership for students. So whoever students who are trying to deploy their projects or trying to build their projects on this AWS platform, they can get 12 months of free trial, right?
They can have 12 months free for selective service. EC2 is 3 is just an example. You also have, for instance, Lambda, which is the serverless compute option. You have DynamoDB, which is NoSQL database. RDS, which is our SQL database. You have OpenSearch, also hours for free. Those are selective service that you're going to have 12-month free, depending on the usage that is for each service. But you're also going to have always free service. So I mentioned Lambda, for instance. You're going to have 1 million free requests per month for always free. So independently if you create an account right now or in 12 months, after 12 months, that will always be free. So or even CDN, I mentioned how with using cloud computing you can go global. CDN on AWS is Amazon CloudFront. You can have 1 terabyte for data transfer out for always free if you wanted to test it out how your application will behave using a CDN on top of it. So things like that will always be free. You can also check it out on AWS web page. It is aws.amazon.com/free. You're going to see all the service that are free of charge and also the ones that are selected for 12 months.
So for people, for software developers who are new to AWS, who are new to cloud computing, they don't know the terms which you have mentioned, Matheus, like EC2, Lambda, DynamoDB. So can you briefly describe what are those services
Yeah, of course. I mentioned a lot of names, right? So all those names are resource IT resource types and divided
Mm-hmm.
by categories. So uh, EC2, it is our Elastic complete compute cloud. It is a virtual machine that you can use on AWS. You can choose by the size, how many memory, how many storage that you're gonna have, and that will be your EC2. So
Mm-hmm.
it will be the lowest level, I would say, in terms of infrastructure as a service. You
Mm-hmm.
also have DynamoDB, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, which is our NoSQL database. So
Okay.
if you are looking for a data that is not a structure, so unstructured data, and you are not 100% sure how that works or how that will be, that is probably a NoSQL. That's one of the indications that will be a NoSQL
Mm-hmm.
database. So DynamoDB, it is our key value database that you can choose. Very easy to scale, out, scale in as demand if you wish. Other service that I mentioned is Lambda. Lambda, it is our serverless. So serverless is because exactly how the name is supposed to be, because you're gonna run code without thinking about servers or clusters or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a piece of code, a piece of Python or a .NET or Java, and it is a function that has a single purpose only, and you have amount of 50 minutes to run that code. So your function needs to run 50 minutes or less, and from that, you don't need to think about operation system patching, configure X, Y, Z. Right? You just focus on the code, the purpose of
Mm-hmm.
that function. That's very useful for event-driven architectures, which is one of the type of software architectures that you have. You can use that based on one of the events, you're going to trigger a Lambda, and the Lambda can integrate with AWS service. You can integrate even with third parties, even with your one premise if you wish. Has this capability to go whatever your code tells the Lambda should go, right? So those are three examples that I would say that is easy to understand. Of course, like I said, that is more than 200 services of today on AWS.
Mm-hmm.
So even myself, I don't know all the service, but
Okay.
those are the most basic service that you can
Mhm.
have.
Thanks for briefly describing the basic services for us, Matthews. So, for a software developer, for a software engineer who is new to AWS, what are the first steps you would prescribe to learn AWS?
Awesome, great question. So I would say that you need to get hands on, right? The most important way to understand how a new technology works, it is if you have exposure to. So AWS offer something called AWS Skill Builder. It's a
Mhm.
platform for learning. That's multiple courses over there. Some of
Okay.
them are free, some of them are not. There is individual subscription or annual subscription that you wish, but some of them are free of charge. So I start with that. Looking for the best skill builder for the essentials, for the technical essentials, courses that will give exposure to you, how AWS works, how all the service that I just mentioned a few minutes ago works, go in the layers of storage, compute, networking, security, how all those things are integrated. Uh, it also gives you preparation, for instance, for AWS certifications. AWS itself has many certifications, so if you want to tackle one of those certifications, you also have preparation courses on that. Um, this is I would say how you can start. Second of all, it is getting exposure on the workshops that we offer. So you can go to workshops.aws. Has a very range of workshops from development, from networking, for security. You're gonna have that workshop like in a very prescriptive guidance, step by step. What are the challenges that the workshop is proposing, and how you can solve that, and you can use your account for the free tier to leverage that. Um,
Mhm.
and third, it is to really dig into the documentation, right? The rest has one of the I would say, at least for me, one of the best documentation that I ever seen. So that is FAQs, that is proposal scenarios, prescriptive guidance, solution builder library. All of this that I'm saying are documentation piece that you can read to understand
Mhm.
more how AWS Word works. So I would say those three pillars: skill builder, workshops, and documentation are the very good start.
So you mentioned, so for someone who is new to AWS, to learn about AWS, they can either go for a skill builder platform to learn courses about AWS, or else they can visit workshop.aws, where Amazon Web Services conducts many workshops to learn about AWS, right? And the third one will be documentation provided by AWS to learn about cloud computing and all, right?
I
Yes,
also
Matthew.
encourage, anyone that is looking for going deep. It is to take one of the AWS certifications. Uh,
Mhm.
that is many certifications for different levels: foundation levels, associate level, professional, and specialty level, that can fit towards your career, that you can seek the information again towards the skill builder, and then just take the exam. They're going to prove that you have the knowledge, and also the knowledge, the exam itself going to test on it, not directly in yes or no questions, but in scenario questions,
Mhm.
which is really gives you an idea on how you're going to see um, in the real world. So it's not going to be what is Amazon S3 or what is DynamoDB. No, it will be scenarios, questions that you need to choose on the best approach, on the most cost efficient approach, the most scalable approach that are going to really test you out to be ready in front of a customer, for instance.
So, how impactful is having a AWS certificate for a developer while applying for jobs? Will that make a difference for a recruiter? Like, okay, this guy has a AWS certification. So, will that make a difference with him?
Yeah, although some people would say that it's just a piece of paper, I would say that it's even more than that.
Mhm.
Because, like I said, if you take one of the brand's professional certification, this is a very, very hard exam. They're gonna test you out on 75 to 65 questions. That are very deep, and you need to understand, across the board.
Mhm.
So having someone, for instance, with a solution architect professional, um, adding that into your resume, it is really a differentiator. Um,
Mhm.
I I also I've been influenced by certification since the beginning, and
Mhm.
that's actually I got my first job in
Okay.
cloud engineering because I had called a solution architect association back in 2017.
Mhm.
So it is definitely differentiated. Some customers or partner companies that even gonna put as a requisite, as a requirement,
Mhm.
and some are gonna put as a recommended. Even though I would say taking the certification as many as possible, because that's gonna prove to you, first of all, that you're capable to deliver, you're capable to understand the breadth and the depth of the rest, but also to the market. because partners, they're specialized on AWS. They really want to have cloud engineers, software engineers that understand the full grasp of a cloud solution. And since we're talking about software engineers, uh, understand that although you're a software engineer, you need to understand things that are infrastructure wise, because
Okay.
for instance, security is responsibility for everyone, not just for the security infrastructure
Yes.
guys. So in order to understand that, you need to have more understanding of the cloud as a whole.
Thanks for explaining detailedly about that, Matheus. My final question will be: are there any specific roles which are exclusively on cloud computing?
I would say that as of the way that we are on the IT world today, we basically are able to go even further than the IT on-premises role. So every single role that I can think of, it is doable, it is capable to deliver same experience as on-premise in the cloud. So there are companies that are hiring security specialty on cloud, networking, software engineer, machine learning, right? Especially machine learning. We are now in this wave of generative AI. So we are capable to deliver that level of generative AI because of the power of cloud computing, right? How big you can go, how scalable you can go. It is because you're going to develop it, all of that on the cloud. So I would say that depend on the area that you are interested in to pursue your career. Uh, that is positioned for everyone. So I would say that it's not exclusive to the cloud, but every single position can be and it will be necessarily to have some sort of understanding of the cloud. You perhaps can be can be at in a company that as of today is still on the on-premise, but they will start to do some POCs. They're going to start to do some demos, some testing on the cloud, and you need to get ready. You need to understand how that works, because a cloud is about being fast, to be agile. So you need to understand right now, so you can be a differentiator. It can be a key differentiator to you and to your company, to your partners, in the future.
Thanks for clearing the doubt, Matheus. Since there are many specific roles like cloud engineer, cloud architect, cloud developers, so students are software engineers who are thinking to expand their career path in those exclusive roles. They can not learn more about AWS certification and not get more knowledge about cloud platforms and choose those specific software roles, choose those specific roles in their career, right? So that will be all, Matthews.
Exactly.
This covers the entire questions which I thought to ask you, guys. Matthews is a author of AWS certified database study guide also. So he's the book is available in Amazon. We'll provide that link in description. You can also go and check it out. So thanks once again, Matthews, for joining this podcast and sharing your knowledge to us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. And please stay tuned. For uh, next year we do reInvent. We are very close to reInvent right now, which is our biggest conference of the year. So many launches, many releases will be announced at reInvent. And yeah, stay tuned for that. Make sure you go there and tackle those courses, understanding how the breast works, certification wise, everything that we discuss here. And thanks to you after to inviting me, and
Thank you,
it
Matthews.
was a
It's my
pleasure
pleasure
to
to
be
have you.
here.
And thank you guys for watching this
Thank
podcast.
you.
If you do like this podcast, please do subscribe to my channel. I have many podcasts like this. It will be really helpful for you guys. And once again, thank you, Matthews. And guys, see you in the next podcast. Take care. Bye.